can lean back, that one.
Ain't bad. Are these permanent?
They don't go any higher.
I think we're gonna have this. We had a. They're even short. Are they really? Yeah, they. Wow, okay. Kind of how mine is now.
For like 10 years, no one knew who we were.
Yeah, these were.
It's
Not
Dorothy
that much
Parker,
time, right, and they don't sink as much. when you sit.
character, finger puppet. Dorothy Parker,
Knows all about it.
I'm sure he does. You know who Dorothy Parker is, don't you?
It's got food on this. one. Percy.
They do.
Hey,
Red. Almost, what do they say, like 1,000 rounds?
I don't know.
That was a blessing. That wasn't even.
Shopping, I think they said, he was off duty.
I thought he was on duty.
They said he was off duty to shop.
Specifically for a specific reason. I at least understand.
Hopefully he was talking, if he was targeting his wife, girlfriend, something like
Yeah,
that.
I mean, it's still bad. And
He wasn't targeting.
Exactly. Yeah.
Talking for self.
Right.
That bad, just go ahead and end it.
Yeah.
They shut down the Colony High School.
Good.
Yeah,
A call in or what?
they had a call in this morning.
Tell my
Thought
girl.
they shut down the school.
somehow I got off.
Because if it's up at the same time, there's no way that you could have put them in your backpack.
How do you guys, where are we now? Raise the volume on here. You can't hear it? No. There. Are you in court? I'm listening to meeting. I told you. I can't hear it. And then there. And then. Hello? Say something, right? It's just like, hello. Let's see. No, I think they have it muted. I think
If they should do a little investigation.
hello? It's for the restaurant.
Parking lot.
You know, I did that one night. One of the cities I represented, and it didn't end well.
Yeah.
Needed this.
I'm thinking one time.
That's what she told me. She said, but she did it twice. Good. Good. Good.
It's a.
Karen, you good?
Good.
Coach, you good? Okay, the time is 7 p.m. and I'd like to welcome you all to our new digs. So, how exciting. Long time coming, and we're excited to be here. I'd like to call this meeting to order. It's 7 p.m. Yep. Oh, that's y'all. I'm sorry. Okay. We still good?
Yep.
Okay, it's 7 p.m. Call this meeting to order. We do have a quorum present. We have Councilman Drake, Councilman Franklin, Councilman Lightfoot, Councilman Smith, city management and staff, and a whole host of excellent distinguished guests. We're glad that you're here. Notice has been duly posted in accordance to Texas Government Code Section 551. And we'd like to ask Councilman Franklin if you would lead us in the invocation and the pledge.
Shall we pray? Heavenly Father, we thank you for life, health, and strength. Father, we thank you for our city. Thank you for the ability, Father, to meet and meet as we will. We thank you that we have the opportunity to express our free will. Thank you for everything you've done for our city. Father, we ask for a special protection for our first responders, our city workers. God, we ask that you continue to protect them, to keep them safe, and every day that they make it back home to their family. We ask that as we embark on this journey for our council meeting, we ask that you give us opening ears, opening hearts to do the will of our city and the will of you, God. We ask that you keep us on the right track. We ask for blessing over our city as we continue to move forward as one with unity, love, and peace. This is our prayer in the name of Christ. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Thank you, Councilman Franklin. All right, so at the beginning of the meeting, we have a lot of introductions, recognitions, and proclamations. So I'm going to kind of slide down there and Chief Wolf, I think you're first up. There you are. We'll see what we can get done. So our first one is, we have a new officer, correct? So, you like me to introduce it? Yep, please.
So we've been in a constant state of hiring, trying to replace some vacancies that we had. We've been lucky enough to pick up a couple of experienced officers from another agency. And the first one I'd like to have come up is James Taylor. Very cool name, Grimes. He hails from Columbus, Ohio. He was raised in Chillicothe, Ohio. He participated in many sports in high school. He was inducted into the U.S. Army in 1987. He spent approximately 22 years in the Army in various bases around the U.S. and Europe. He served 4 combat tours in Iraq and Afghanistan as a division reconnaissance and infantry advisor. He retired in April of 2009 and joined the Lancaster Police Department and attended the Dallas Sheriff's Academy. He spent 14 years at Lancaster PD as a patrolman and the last 6 years of his career there as a patrol sergeant. He's a certified field training officer and a police sniper. He has 2 children, ages 13 and 16. He's also the recipient of the Texas Star Award for courage as a result of being involved in a active shooter event that unfortunately took the life of a Lancaster officer. And he was an instrumental part in that. And for that, he received that Texas Star Award from the state of Texas for his bravery in that incident. So we're very pleased to have him with our department. We were able to steal him away from Lancaster. And I think he's going to be a great addition and brings quite a bit of experience to our department. The next officer that we have coming to us, again, he comes from Lancaster. Felix Serrano was born and raised in Puerto Rico. He moved to Texas in 2015. Felix is married to his wife, Ruth. They have 3 children. He holds a bachelor's degree in international business from the University of Puerto Rico and began his career as a police officer in 2015 with the Lancaster Police Department. He's a graduate of the North Central Texas Council of Governments Regional Police Academy, where he graduated with honors. He was assigned to the Patrol Division, assisted the Narcotics Division and Criminal Investigations at the Lancaster Police Department, and he's also a certified field training officer, an advanced peace officer, basic instructor certified. He's also a certified standardized field sobriety testing instructor, and he's a case law instructor, and he comes to us with those years of experience, again, adding to the depth of our experience within the department. We're very pleased to have him on board with us, and we were able to steal him too, so. Ms. Fuller, you want to come? Mr. Raggedale, come on up. 75% of the people are here to see you.
Thank you. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Here, use the mic so everybody can hear this.
Okay.
So Logan's been with us for a few years now, and he's been through the trials and tribulations in the old facility, and has done a great job, particularly with the kids. I guarantee you there's not a kid that's been to the library that doesn't know exactly who Mr. Logan is. Just a superb job with the kiddos in town, but also in trying to make the little small library that we had over in the old facility work. He has now transitioned us into the new library. If you haven't been across the hall over here, much bigger, much more space. But he is decided to move on to greener pastures.
Yep.
So we wanted to recognize him tonight and tell him how much we appreciate all the years that you put in and the hard work, and hopefully you'll come back and do some things with us
I
from
certainly
time to
will.
time.
And I appreciate all the people that came out tonight. I've seen these young people.
On that, so it goes on.
There you go.
I've seen these young people grow up in the library. I remember in the small library, I looked towards the door and there they were sitting on the floor reading books. And Camilla is one of my regular toddlers. And Camilla, I'm going to come back every Tuesday morning to continue to do story time. So I will be doing story time, and this summer I'll be coming back. And so I appreciate everybody coming out tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Logan.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Logan.
Thank you, Logan.
You gonna do it? Excellent, come on. All right, and I think we have, Mr. Hernandez here. Yep.
Good evening, everybody. This is Sergio Hernandez. He is our construction inspector at the Public Works Department. On April 18th, 2023, Construction Inspector Sergio Hernandez has earned the Certified Public Infrastructure Inspector designation from the American Public Works Association. The CPII designation is to recognize individuals who have proven their ability to promote quality public infrastructure throughout their community. Sergio currently serves as a construction inspector for the Public Works Department. Sergio has been with the city of Red Oak since June of 2016, originally serving as a maintenance worker, and through dedication and hard work, moved up through the ranks and was an ideal candidate for the construction inspector position. To obtain the CPII designation, candidates must prove their competency in the testing, measurement, and inspection of underground construction such as utility systems, storm sewers, water systems, sanitary sewers, at-grade construction, including curb, gutter, paving, sidewalk, driveway approach construction, restoration work, traffic striping, traffic signal installations, traffic control devices, erosion and siltation control installations, and structural construction such as bridges, forming systems, reinforcing steel, reinforced concrete structures. Expertise is also proven in project management, documentation, and compliance, as well as inspections for right-of-way permits, site materials, sewer lines, and paving projects. Sergio is one of only 175 certified public infrastructure inspectors in the nation. The Certified Public Infrastructure Inspector Program was launched by the American Public Works Association to promote quality infrastructure throughout the community by advancing knowledge and practice of the construction inspection to benefit the community and public agencies.
Congratulations. All right. I can figure this out, right? So. Chief Wolf. Come back up here. So now we have proclamations and, proclamations are something that's, issued by myself or council members, just according to, according to people who are, and how hard they work for the community. And we want to take this opportunity to recognize that this is National Peace Officers Memorial Day and Police Week. And that's going to be designated by the President of the United States as May 15th as National Peace Officers Memorial Day. And it falls within that week, which is Police Week. And we, as council, call upon all citizens of the city of Red Oak and upon all patriotic, civil, and educational organizations to observe that week as National Police Week with appropriate ceremonies in which all of our people may join in commemorating police officers past and present who, by their faithful and loyal devotion to their responsibilities, have rendered a dedicated service to their communities. In doing so, have established for themselves an invaluable and enduring reputation for preserving rights and securities of all citizens. And I call upon Red Oak citizens to observe Sunday, May 15th as National Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of those peace officers who, through their courageous deeds, lost their lives and have become disabled in the performance of duty. So thank you for what you do, keeping our citizens safe, and to all your servicemen. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Chief. You'll pass that on to everybody? All right, Chief Clinton. All right, so following that, next following week, and yes, we have all our, they like coming because they might get some food back there in the back afterwards, so, but no, we're glad that they're here too. You know, these are the people that you like to have around, just to have that security blanket. We hope that you don't have to see them in your midst, but they actually give that security net. EMS week. You know, it's a vital public service, 24/7, they don't get a break. The emergency medical system consists of first responders, medical technicians, paramedics, emergency medical dispatchers, firefighters, police officers, educators, administrators, pre-hospital nurses, emergency nurses, emergency physicians, trained members of the public, and all other hospital medical care providers. It's a pleasure that we're able to designate May 21st through the 27th as Emergency Medical Services Week. And our theme is in the city of Red Oak with EMS strong theme, EMS Week, where emergency care begins. If they don't get to you fast enough, that may not be it. So their response time is less than 7 minutes. That's pretty good, and I'm gonna take a little aside. People want us to cut things down where they're not gonna be able to do their job. That means gonna be costing people's lives, and we're not gonna tolerate that. So we're gonna keep things up. We're gonna keep on providing for you. So anyway, I digress and I apologize, but anyway, I hereby say that May 8th of this date as May 21st through the 27th, Emergency EMS Week, where emergency care begins. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Just, want to thank these gentlemen that are standing up here. They're on shift. It's, 65 to 70% of what we do, our calls for service are EMS related. And also like to recognize Vernon Wycliffe. He's the EMS chief for Ellis County. Gerald Fuller, he's the, EMS supervisor, shift supervisor. And Mark, I'm sorry. Regional director. So.
Well, come on up here. I mean, we recognize you too. It's all good.
Just, I appreciate our relationship and the commitment we have to Maymar and the great working relationship with our crews and them to provide quality patient care to our citizens.
Well, thank y'all very much. You guys. Thank you, gentlemen. All right, Jared, you want to come back up? All right, another proclamation. That same week, May 21st through the 27th is National Public Works Proclamation, or Public Works Week, connecting the world through public works. Again, these guys work behind the scenes. They keep everything flowing right. They keep everything in, being able to provide food, cook it in the water, or cook it in the house with water, transportation aspect, controlling the roads. When we had our ice emergencies, they were out there salting it, making sure that these guys weren't having to take care of people who are off into the ditches and everything. And so, they do a lot of stuff. So this is the 63rd annual National Public Works Week. And we designate that week as National Public Works Week. And I urge all citizens to join with representation of the Public Works Association and government agency in activities, events, and ceremonies designated to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, supervisors, employees, and to recognize the substantial contribution that they make to protect the health, safety, and quality of life. And you heard earlier about going that extra mile, 175 out of the nation, and we're lucky enough to have one of those inspectors within our city limits. So, we're growing. We're excited about what you do for our city and keep things going right. Sometimes y'all don't get the recognition, and we're pleased to be able to present that as National Public Works Week. So thank you really much.
Staff, how many are there about? So we have right at 21, 22. We're actually just now fully staffed for the first time in 2 years.
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
And the square mileage that y'all cover. How many miles of sewer do we have, and how many water lines, and how many meters, and all that other stuff? A bunch.
We have,
Yeah.
pushing 4,000 connections for water, about the same for sewer. We have 67 lane miles of streets we take care of. About 86 miles of water mains, and about the same for sewer lines.
Wow.
It's a lot. We have about 20,000 assets we take care of.
Pretty impressive. So thank you all for your hard work. So thank you. And two more, I'm sorry. I don't like talking in front of people, and so I don't know why they get this. All right. Mr. McCleary. So. You have someone to introduce to, or no? No, not yet, okay. So, May 8th through the 12th is International Economic Development Council, Development Week. And I think this guy was born with the phone coming out of his ear. I mean, he is on the phone all the time, talking to businesses and private corporations and partnerships. I'm telling you, this is the best kept. We're the best city in Ellis County, period. So my point is he goes above and beyond getting information in front of these people who make the decisions to either bring grocery stores or restaurants or businesses, or I don't know, everything. But he is always on the phone talking, trying to get, he was a big instigator with Carbon and that group, whatever you want to call it right now. And so we just are very thankful for all the hard work that you have done for the city, because you help things, it helps drive the city on where it's going. But they promote economic well-being and quality life for the communities by creating and retaining, expanding jobs that facilitate growth, enhance wealth, and provide a stable tax base. And it is our pleasure that we're able to recognize May 8th through the 12th as Economic Development Week in the city of Red Oak, and remind individuals the importance of this community celebration, which supports expanding career opportunities and improving quality life. And so thank you very much for your hard work. And then lastly, do we have any representatives here? No? Okay. So, and I think this is, May is Motorcycle Safety and Awareness Month. And those guys on those little two-wheelers or those three-wheeler trikes, they're kind of hard to see. So I just implore that everybody within our city limits and within our county to do their part to increase the safety and awareness in our community, Are you a biker? Okay, well, great. So anyway, you know, it's hard. You know, they always drive with their lights on. We should, but sometimes we get carried away talking on the phone and that's no good. Cause they're the hardest to see and yet they're the most vulnerable too. At least we got a cage around us. They don't. So hopefully they're not they're all wearing a helmet and not being bald when they're driving, but anyway, thank you for allowing us to be able to recognize this month and that we want to urge all the citizens to do their part to make sure that it continues to be a safe enjoyment for y'all and you're not having to look out for us crazies. Right. Anyway, thank you. Thank you. We'll cut it out? Okay. Thank you.
Go for coming. Please stay.
Okay, so now's the time for citizens' comments. Citizens' comments are gonna be limited to 3 minutes, but Mr. Vasquez, I think you want to speak during that item 10, correct? Okay, all right. Was there anybody else that turned in or was here to speak? Well, then we can move on to a consent agenda. All right, consent agendas are items that are considered routine in nature and that can be acted upon in one motion. Any council member or city staff may pull an item to be considered separately. Is there anything that needs to be pulled and discussed separate?
No items.
Okay. Then items 1 through 6, I'll consider a motion to approve 1 through 6.
So moved.
Okay. This is still not going to be good. Councilman Drake, I'm sorry, is at first, and Councilman Franklin at second. Those in favor?
Franklin, I.
Frank, aye.
Lightfoot, aye. Smith, aye.
All right, that
Get
passes.
used to that order now too.
Yeah, passes 4-0. Item 7, consider adoption of resolution number 23-043R, the city council, city of Red Oak, Texas, hereby awarding a bid to MJ Management LLC, DBA, doing business as JM Construction Solution for the request of proposal RFP 23-420 Live Oak multi-use field building reskinning to remove, refurbish, and replace metal siding and associated items on the existing metal building inside the Live Oak Municipal Use Sports Field located on Live Oak Street in the amount not to exceed $33,345.50, which is attached here to and incorporated herein as Exhibit A, authorizing the city manager or designee to execute the terms and conditions of the contract after approval by the city attorney and providing an effective date. Mr. Kelly.
Good evening, council. Good evening, Mayor. What I'm asking for here is approval to move forward. This is the multi-use field, or what we used to call the football field on Live Oak, corner of Live Oak and Red Oak at Dobbitts. All we're doing is going in and taking the old metal off the building and bringing in new metal. We did put it out for a competitive bid. The bids came back ranging between 65,000 all the way down to 33,000. It was quite a range. We typically don't see that wide of a range and, because that number was a little bit lower than our budget of 70,000, which was approved last year, we did meet with the vendor and vet him and make sure that all the material that he's going to use is the actual material that we spec'd, and he understood the whole scope of work, and seems to be that, he understood that and was willing to take this on. So, I feel confident that he'll be able to do the job. He has done some work for the city in the past, working on some renovations at the fire station. So I do feel like with his history that we'll be good with the material that he'll be using and the team that he'll be using to pull that material off and replace it.
Council, any questions?
No question.
All right. Entertain a motion to approve, to adopt resolution number 23-043R.
Second.
Councilman Smith, Councilman Lightfoot. Those in favor?
Franklin, I.
Smith,
That passes 4-0. Item 8, consider adoption of resolution number 23-044R, the City Council, City of Red Oak, Texas, approving an agreement between the City of Red Oak, Texas and Instaform Technologies for the rehabilitation of the Waller Avenue Culvert Crossing, authorizing the city manager to execute the necessary documents for such equipment in an amount not to exceed $130,000, utilizing Texas statewide cooperative purchasing contract number 635-21, competitively bid by board, which is attached hereto and incorporated herein as Exhibit A and providing an effective date. Benford.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. This item is for the three culvert crossings that are on Waller Street, just east of Live Oak. They are corrugated metal pipes and have been there for an extremely long time. Those pipes have started to rust out on the bottom and are delaminating from themselves, causing voids around the pipe, under the pipe, under that fairly heavily trafficked roadway. So like I said, this is just east of Live Oak on Waller at Watkins Park. The existing pipes are severely deteriorated and the corrugated metal pipes are actually unraveling. The voids around these pipes are causing the roadway to slightly collapse and dip down. So what this process will do, and Situform is going to come in and fill the voids around those pipes. Once those voids are filled, they will use a geopolymer spray that is actually structural and spray the entire lining of those pipes. And what that pretty much does is puts a brand new pipe inside of the existing one without us having to tear out that bridge, re-engineer the entire structure, and put that bridge back. So we're saving a substantial amount of money. We're saving our citizens a headache by not having to close that bridge out, saving our school district a headache. And this will allow us to continue excellent use of that bridge for several more years to come. We will continue to look at that bridge and see, make sure that that product is holding. It comes with the standard 2-year maintenance bond and performance bond. And their products, we've used a very similar thing on manholes. And, you know, they'll last 10, 15, 20 years as long as we're taking care of it. So,
Okay.
unless you have any questions.
Council, any questions?
Yes, I do. Mr. Mayor, thank you. Could you go back to that display, please? That was just on. It's to your, thank you.
Mhm.
Bottom left, looks like is this the bridge that's starting to cave in here?
No, that, well, yes, the roadway is actually has settled, about an inch to an inch and a half, to fill, to go to where those voids were. This concrete that you see here, that's just how the pipes were installed. And they formed up the concrete, the head walls up to, how the pipe was installed. it was not a perfect installation when they first went in, which may have led to some of the issues, but this one was near perfectly installed and still has the same delaminating and rusting issues.
Okay, and that 130,000, that's bid or that's,
No, that's the quote. It's a by board quote. So
Okay.
they'll come in, clean all these pipes up, fill all the voids, and line those pipes with the structural material.
thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Smith.
Just want to address the structure at all, just the pipe.
Well, no, it is a structural material they're putting in there. I mean, it will keep any further collapsing from happening on that roadway. I mean, it's essentially just sliding brand new pipes and that fit perfectly where those existing pipes are. They're gonna go in, they're gonna use essentially modified high lift jacks. They're gonna stretch those pipes out inside while they fill those voids, round it out as much as possible. They'll use a called flowable fill to fill those voids. Very kind of looks like a liquidy concrete, but it's very high strength. We'll fill those voids in around the pipe, stretch the pipe out, and then reline it.
Road be closed.
Road won't be closed at all, at no point.
Will they block the hole where?
No, I mean, they will during construction and it'll be closed for, they'll put caution tape up and stuff around it until it cures. But they'll be left open how they are now. Yeah, I mean, you can see in the picture up, I mean, there's graffiti and things like that, but I mean, I don't think the fire department's ever had to pull anybody out of there.
Big
but,
kid out there?
It'd have to be a very large.
Yeah, the
problem is-
Bars,
And all that stuff.
the problem with putting bars and enclosing it is
Yes.
trash, and particularly in this area, a lot of. It would just,
And, those culverts are, we don't want to back it up even more and cause that water to back up onto the property owners north of the park.
So long as this treatment last.
The maintenance performance bond is for 2 years, so guaranteed 2 years. Now, this product has been in place in multiple locations for 10, 15 years. But, if we want a longer maintenance bond, we pay for the longer maintenance bond. And it goes up substantially after the first 2 years. The other option is to, get an engineer, to redesign the structure, and we take it out and put in a new bridge structure. But this will keep the roadway open, and make it safe to travel. We did have an engineer come out and look at it, and they said it is safe currently, but that we do need to do something to address it. And this is one of the suggestions that they have.
You answered mine that I was gonna ask, so. All right, I'll entertain a motion to adopt resolution 23-044R. Lightfoot is. Drake. Those in favor?
Franklin, I.
Drake, aye.
Smith, aye.
Passes 4-0. Item 9, conduct a public hearing and consider approval of ordinance number 23-012, the city of Red Oak, Texas, amending the comprehensive zoning ordinance and map of the city of Red Oak, Texas, as hereto amended by granting a change in zoning from agriculture AG to plan development 152, PD 152, for a mixed-use development of a residential and commercial retail on a property located north of Stevenson Road, south of Red Oak Creek, east of Oak Leaf ETJ, and approximately 2,000 feet west of Cascade Drive, described as 110 acres of a called 181 acre tract described in volume 99, page 83 in the John Smith Survey A 972, James E. Patton Survey A 839, Joel S. Davis Survey, A 323, John S. Patton Survey, A 842 in the city of Red Oak, Ellis County, Texas. Said property being more particularly described in Exhibit A, which is attached here to and incorporated herein, providing for the development regulation, residential and commercial retail use, mail kiosks, architectural element renderings and elevations, concepts of the phasing plan, entry exhibits, fencing plan, entry monument plan, conceptual landscape plan in exhibits B through K respectively, which are attached hereto and incorporated herein as development regulations, providing for appealing clause, providing a severability clause, providing a savings clause, and providing a penalty of fine not to exceed the sum of $2,000 for each offense and providing an effective date. This is case ZC 23-09 requested by Creekside at Red Oak LLC. Dr. Emma.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is a request to rezone the property from agricultural district to plan development 152 for the purpose of building a mixed-use development. The PD proposes 185 single-family homes, 102 townhomes, a reserved area for a neighborhood retail site, and 16 common areas. Garages will be a mixture of J-swing, rear, side, and alley access. The development will be constructed in 5 phases as depicted on the concept plan. Access to the site will be from Stevenson Road and Oaks Boulevard on the south, and the developer will be responsible for the construction of Stevenson Road that is directly adjacent to the site. The developer of the subdivision to the south will be responsible for the construction of Stevenson Road adjacent to the property up until I-35. All interior streets will be a minimum of 50 feet wide with 4 feet wide concrete sidewalks along all residential lot frontages. 8 feet wide concrete trails will be installed through the park and open spaces, and 5 feet wide concrete sidewalks will be installed along all open spaces and HOA-owned lots. There will be an amenity area on the west side of Oaks Boulevard with a pool, pickleball courts, grill area, playground, and community building. There will be another amenity area on the east side of Oaks Boulevard with a grilling area and dog park. Large trail systems will be installed on the northwest and northeast parts of the site with 8 feet wide trails, benches, lighting, and trash receptacles. There will be a 9-hole golf course within the east trail system. Renderings of sample homes were also submitted to serve as an example of homes which meet the PD's development standards. Any exterior elevation of a home parallel to a street will be a minimum of 100% masonry, and all other exterior elevations will be a minimum of 80% masonry. All materials and elevations will substantially match the approved renderings, and all residences will be required to have a front porch or stoop area in front of the home. The Planning and Zoning Commission unanimously recommended approval of the request as presented, and Planning and Zoning Commission concurs with the recommendation. Sure. So this property is north of Stevenson Road. Here's I-35, and here's the property here. It was recently annexed into the city limits, and it's approximately 110.9 acres. Yeah, this is
Or the public doesn't see the disc golf course instead of. Where will Oaks Boulevard go?
through the center. Let me show you.
So the rest of that development's that rendition. So how would they tie the other section that's, how are they gonna tie that? Yeah.
We asked for some conceptual plans, but there's nothing planned at this point. Yeah, for the rest.
But how, I mean, you think that it would connect to this subdivision, correct?
So in talking to them, originally, their plans to large, large 5 to 6 acre parcels, with horses and things like that. They didn't want to connect it to a small neighborhood. We tried to put a large lots up there. Against that property is kind of a buffer so that you're gonna constant transect pattern away from Post Boulevard. But the feedback we got was, we don't really want to connect it.
What is noted by that single solid line just north of the biggest pond, going east to west? Just above that 6 foot metal. Yeah, what is that right there?
That we wanted to make sure we made use of this land as it's got easy access to sewer. So, hence you're seeing some townhomes, some more transect pattern versus or this large lot.
And then is that supposed to be the Yule Road extension,
Yeah, it ties together.
the boulevard? Okay. Pickleball course, that's nice. So I know this is a public hearing, so we'll open this public hearing at 7:45. Is there anybody here that wishes to, excellent, come on up and state your name and tell us.
Good evening, council. Casey Gregory with Sanchez and Associates at 2000 North McDonald Street in McKinney. We represent Creekside at Red Oak. We submitted this application. Thank staff for summarizing this. We think this is a great neighborhood that's going to fit in well with the Oaks neighborhood that's to our south. I'm happy to answer any questions you guys might have.
I do actually, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Do you have a proposed elevation of these townhomes?
There were proposed elevations included in the document.
Why she pull that up? Are these for sale or for rent? Or
Well, they are individually platted lots, so they are intended to be for sale, but there's nothing in the platting law that would stop someone from buying the home and then renting it out. These are some of the sample elevations of the townhomes.
elevation that you're considering?
Well, it's more to give the character of the elevations rather than this specific model. But things,
Specific models back to
I don't believe it's required to come back to council, but it will go under city review.
Got the architectural design. Which are similar to what they're showing. And it'll be exactly this.
That's already been approved for the PD?
No, that's what
what
you're
this is for?
approving tonight,
Okay.
or not approving. Whatever you do, that's what we're doing.
Yeah, I would love to see those architectural design standards. I know I see an elevation of it, but I'd like to see the details of it.
Well, let's finish our public hearing and then if that's.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Great.
Yes, sir.
Anyone else? Thank you, sir. All right, so the time is 7:48 and we will close this public hearing if someone would make a motion. Okay, Councilman Drake,
Second,
Councilman Franklin. Those in favor?
Franklin, I.
Drake, aye.
Smith, aye.
Closed at 48. Okay, so now council, let's kind of dive into this. So if someone knows what he's asking for, then if you can
You want to discuss? and show me?
Yes. So these are minimum design standards for the single family homes. With the masonry requirements, 100% has to be masonry, which on the sides that face the street, and then 80% masonry on all other sides. There's also anti-monotony standards so that the design is not repetitive throughout the subdivision. For every 3 homes along the block and across the street, they can't repeat the same design. There's also a porch and stoop requirement in the front so that social interaction is encouraged, and the front setbacks are reduced more than the typical front setback so that the homes are closer to the street, people feel safer walking on the streets, and there's more community interaction.
I'm assuming garages are rear entry only.
There's a mixture. There's J-swing, there's front entry, there's rear and alley access.
A reduced front yard setback?
Yes. Or- Yeah,
Not a
These
gated
are-
community. No.
and these are the townhomes, so these are the alleys.
But to expand on what I think you might be getting at is some of our previous conversations about parking and things like
Right.
that. So the actual cross section of the street in front of the alley, in front of the townhomes. So we did 3 separate things that to kind of address the parking. One is all of them have to have 2-car garage. Secondarily, the rear setback is a minimum of 20 feet, which allows someone to pull a vehicle up to the front of the face of the garage without being in the alley. The third one is the street section has on-street parking outside of the regular travel lanes. Is there?
I'm gonna
That's,
go back to the,
yeah, go back, oh, there it is. Is that it right there? The parking?
right,
Yeah, zoom in on that. So you can see there's a little dive-in spots that hold 2 or 3 cars, and then a bump out for like a tree, and then again, it'll go in with it. So it becomes it's a street scene, but it also serves a practical purpose of supplying parking to the more dense areas. Now, single family area, same kind of thing, right? It's the providing 2 off-street parking spaces on the lot via the setbacks of the garage, right? So if the garage setback is a minimum of 20 feet from like a rear entry, or if it's a J swing, there's 2-car spaces in front of a J swing, in addition to the garage. And then, so that provides more off-street parking than we would have normally, I guess.
Thank you.
Guess the other thing. I wanna add. Under type of exterior construction, you also see all materials and elevation. Substantially match the exhibits that are in here, so it may not be exactly the one that's shown, but it would need to be substantially the same.
Sure.
Right, and all the character elements. So that's what we do on our side through the design review is, we get something that I'm working on one right now that we zoned back in 2019 and going back and forth with them on what substantial means exactly. And so we go through, we pick out all the character elements and say, look, you provided elevations that have X, Y, and Z on them. I better see X, Y, and Z on all your submittals, right?
Thank you. Just my biggest concern is with townhomes, they tend to get very cookie cutter.
Mhm.
And I do not want to see cookie cutter. I think it should be very unique and done right for the city of Red Oak. That's my biggest concern. That's why I want to see the PD.
Right, and there's additional, the anti-monotony standards apply to both.
Thank you.
Looks like those townhomes are gonna be around the freeway, right?
No, we're back, so,
A little bit off.
yeah.
Yeah,
we're-
Mount
that's not the-
Freeway.
That's not the freeway that's
Oak
running.
Boulevard.
Right, yeah, so, sorry, I'll jump back to that. Yeah, so this piece is right here, the highway's over here, but there's gonna be a new road that comes up through here that connects into the Oaks Boulevard, and goes a big loop like this. So it'll kind of go like this and then up to the north.
This PD only for this plot of land that you're showing?
Yes, it's only for this 110 acres right here.
Okay, and what would the commercial retail be?
So it's got, we have a
Yeah.
use list, yeah. So there is a use list with several, retail, commercial type uses. The hope would be, it'd be something more like, what I would like to see is like a local grocery store or small kind of convenience type grocery. That would allow these folks that live in the Oaks and Creekside to shop there. But it's got your other basic type, service uses like barber, things like that.
But it'll end up being primarily neighborhood
Yeah.
type retail.
A walkable community style? Okay. All right, that's all I have.
I mean, you're not gonna have Chili's going there, so.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
So, any other questions, council? But I thought we we're still good with rear entry alley developments? Well, so that's what I was saying. So, but it's an HOA, but not gated. And so they're responsible for
Right.
the upkeep of the alley?
Right, so the alleys will all be in HOA lots versus
Okay,
some of our previous developments that are public alleys.
okay,
Private maintenance and stuff.
okay. All right, good. I was just concerned that. Yeah.
Right.
Having to keep those guys over there busy. Anyway, okay. Any other questions?
No, sir.
All right, entertain Mr. Sanchez, do you have any other comments that you needed to? Good when you don't have to speak. All right, entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 23-012.
So move.
That's Councilman Franklin and Lightfoot. Right, okay, those in favor?
Franklin, I.
Lightfoot, I. Smith, I.
Excellent. How excited. We're looking forward to that. So thank you. Pass 4-0. Item 10, conduct a public hearing and consider approval of ordinance number 23-013, the city of Red Oak, Texas, amending the comprehensive zoning ordinance and map of the city of Red Oak, Texas as heretofore amended by granting a change in zoning from plan development 130 PD 130 to plan development 130 revised PD 130R to increase the height and change the exterior elevations of the proposed truck stop of the property located on the southeast corner of I-35 and Dobbitts Drive, address 660 Dobbitts Drive in the city of Red Oak, Ellis County, Texas. Said property being more particularly described in Exhibit A, which is attached here to and incorporated herein, providing for elevations in Exhibit B, which is attached here to and incorporated herein, providing a repealing clause, providing a severability clause, providing a savings clause, providing a penalty of fine not to exceed the sum of $2,000 for each offense, and providing an effective date. The case is ZC 2310 requested by Lukeman. Yasahimi. Dr. Emma.
This site was approved for a PD in 2021 with the truck shop's height being 20 feet tall. The applicant is requesting the building be approximately 25 feet and 6.5 inches in height. The reason for the request is to ensure air circulation as there will be exhaust fumes being released within the building. The design of the building's elevations will slightly change, but will still be 100% masonry. Staff recommends approval of the changes as the height is still under the maximum allowed height in the base zoning district, and the revised elevations are generally in conformance with the originally approved PD. The Planning and Zoning Commission unanimously recommended approval of the request, and staff concurs with their recommendation. And this is just a technical recommendation It just has to go before planning zoning commission and city council because our ordinance states that if the height of a building changes and improves PD, then it has to go back before y'all.
So this is a public hearing and the public hearing is 7:59 and we'll open it. And Mr. Vasquez. Nick, if you would come state your address and what you wanted us to know about this.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, and staff. My name is Nick Vasquez. I am at 105 YMCA Drive in Waxahachie. And I'm like you, I really don't like to speak in public. And after Ms. Emma has pretty well covered it all, really just wanted to reiterate that it's just an elevation change of about 5 feet to improve the air quality in the bay spaces. And then to let you know also that we did not change or manipulate any of the previously approved materials for the building. And if you have any questions, I'm available.
Anyone else? All right, time's 8 PM and I'll entertain a motion to adjourn this public hearing. Lightfoot, Councilman Smith, those in favor?
And I.
Great guy.
4-0. Thank you, sir. Just. Right, so, council, any questions that you need on this?
No questions.
This was on that we'd looked at previously and we knew it was coming in front of us, so.
Just for my, just be sure I understand. So we're only here because we approved a specific height, and since it's changing, we have to approve the new. Oh, other changes, okay.
Entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 23-013.
Second.
Councilman Drake, Councilman Lightfoot, second. Those in favor?
Franklin, I.
Great guy.
Like, but
Smith, aye.
Pass it 4-0. Thank y'all.
Thank you very much.
Good to see y'all. All the updates over there look really good, so thanks for y'all's hard work.
absolutely.
So. Item 11, conduct a public hearing and consider approval of ordinance number 23-014, the city of Red Oak, Texas, amending the comprehensive zoning ordinance and map of the city of Red Oak, Texas, as heretofore amended by amending the special conditions of a special use permit revised SUP to allow for a restaurant with a private club for on-site alcohol consumption on the property identified as Lot 2RA Block B, SNH, Business Phase 1, also known as 103 Harris Avenue, City of Red Oak, Ellis County, Texas. Said property being more particularly described in Exhibit A, which is attached here to and incorporated herein. Providing a survey map for mixed beverage sales application and providing for a title survey attached here to and incorporated herein is Exhibit B and C respectively, providing a repealing clause, providing a severability clause, providing a savings clause, providing a penalty of fine not to exceed the sum of $2,000 for each offense, and providing an effective date. Case ZC 23-07 requested by Juan Barbosa. Dr. Emma.
This building has operated as a restaurant for almost 10 years, and the new tenant is proposing to serve alcohol on the subject site. The site meets all state separation requirements from churches, schools, and public hospitals. And the zoning ordinance requires that a specific use permit be applied for when selling alcohol. Staff does recommend approval as this will most likely increase sales for the restaurant and business in the surrounding area. And the future land use plan also supports restaurants in the area. The Planning and Zoning Commission unanimously recommended approval of the request, and staff concurs with their recommendation.
This is a public hearing. This is 8:03. Is there anyone here that we should speak on this? Well, hearing none. We can draw it out to 8:04. I'll entertain a motion to close. Oh, I'm sorry, there's someone online?
I'm not sure, but someone.
Okay.
Oh, there we go.
Miss Priscilla. Hear us? Why don't you speak one more time? Sorry, I had the name wrong. I apologize. Ms. Vanessa, are you?
Think
Hi,
you're
can you
muted.
hear me?
There you
Yes,
are.
we can hear you now.
Okay, yes, we are proposing a private club. We will be opening a restaurant soon and would like to offer the private club to serve alcohol.
So, and we have her contact information. Okay. Okay. And Miss Priscilla, are you wanting to speak on this also?
No, sir.
Okay,
Everything's good.
okay. I'm sorry, I'm kind of confused because I'm seeing some City of Red Oak and then also yours and, yep. All right. Anything else, Ms. Vanessa?
No, we're just here for approval. Would like to, it's our first time opening a restaurant in Red Oak and we would like to serve alcohol. We have other restaurants in Cleburne and Temple, and we would like to bring it to Red Oak.
Excellent. Okay. Well, how about 80, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
8:05, I'll entertain a motion to close this public hearing. Smith. Great. Those in favor?
Franklin, I.
Frank, aye.
Lightfoot, aye. Smith, aye.
4-0. All right, council, any questions about this? We're familiar with, this was where the
Pollo ratio.
Radio.
yeah,
This is the spot I've been waiting for a successful restaurant to be in.
Yeah.
It should be a good location. It's
Yeah.
been a little cursed maybe with some of the prior ownership, but I mean, I look forward to it. I hope anyone that goes in there is successful for sure.
any questions?
There are other, you said there are other locations. What was the name of the establishment?
Can you share that?
The restaurant will be Taqueria Mexicano Grill. We will be serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and if the alcohol gets approved, margaritas,
Mimosas, everything else?
mimosas, yes, a lot of other drinks.
Excellent. Any other questions, council? All right. Entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 23-014.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Drake. Lightfoot had second. Those in favor?
Franklin, I. Frank, I.
Lightfoot, aye.
Smith, aye.
Passes 4-0. Thank you, ma'am. We hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
Item 12, conduct a public hearing and consider approval of ordinance number 23-015, City of Red Oak, Texas, amending the Code of Ordinances by amending Chapter 14 zoning, by amending Article 1 general provisions, by adding new Section 9 specialty uses, by amending Chapter 14 zoning and Article 14 basic definitions and interpretations, by adding a new definition for donation box, by amending Chapter 14A zoning ordinance, 14A attachment 1 appendix tables and charts, by amending table 6.1 permitted uses and table 8.2 parking requirements based on use, providing a repealing clause, providing a severability clause, providing a savings clause, providing a penalty of fine not to exceed the sum of $2,000 for each offense, and providing an effective date. And this is requested by us. So tell us about it.
Yes. Are we doing both at the same time or just one?
Yeah, just give the explanation.
Okay. Okay. The city of Red Oak currently does not have an ordinance to regulate the operation of donation boxes on outdoor properties. Staff has drafted a donation box ordinance to regulate the application process, fee, location restrictions, maintenance standards, limitations to zoning districts, size limitations, separation requirements, and other restrictions to regulate its operations. If this is Planning and Zoning Commission they did recommend approval of the request and staff concurs with the recommendation. So on the screen here, this is kind of just an example of what we're trying to avoid in the city, just to make sure that the site is maintained. For example, within 25 feet of any proposed donation box, it's going to have to be maintained in a clear and orderly manner. Also, they're going to have to apply and submit an application, fee, site plan, and pictures of the donation box before it's actually placed on a property. We're going to have owner information so that if it does get out of hand, we're able to hopefully get in touch with them and notify them of the issues at hand. And there's also distance separations from streets so that it's not right up against right of ways. And then also especially highways, things of that sort. There's also things like it controls coloring. It can't be any fluorescent lighting, has to be neutral colors. And we've also included that it's limited to certain zoning districts. So it's permitted in commercial and industrial zoning districts and not permitted in residential zoning districts. And there has to be certain distance requirements from those districts.
This would also be a last.
Yeah, there's two components to this. One, Dr. Emma has talked about, and that is in what zoning districts does it go? And then we'll have a site plan like we do for all special use permits. And then there's another second ordinance or the actual day-to-day operation. Making sure that the receptacles, zoning will be tied.
Helps us to enforce outfit that is making the violations instead of like in the picture you saw before, it was on the back of, I think, Burger King or.
Yeah,
I think it's Burger King parking lot. So you can
it's
still
actually the
enforce it.
landowner that gets
Exactly.
stuck with it.
Right.
Under the regulations we have now, it's the owner. Or whoever's operating.
Don't have any ways to regulate that right now?
Nope,
No,
Like the cleanup of it?
nope.
we do,
Well,
but not against them.
trash,
So
not
we have been able to regulate it by going to the property owner who the donation box is sitting at. And they contacted or cleaning up themselves in some cases. This way it'll let us find the actual clothing and shoe donations by whatever that says. Instead of contacting Burger King, or writing them a fine.
A lot of times, my perspective on this is that whoever has the donation box has done not as good a job of maintaining, making sure that that thing's emptied on a routine basis that leads to this. See it getting full, we're gonna call them and tell them they need to come take it.
So this is a public hearing and we'll open it at 8:12. For anyone who, did we get any requests online? Okay, and then there's not anybody here that wishes to speak on that. Where council meetings need to get a little bit more exciting. We're not having-
Perfect.
I know, it just drove them away. So, I don't mind. Oh, okay. they go. All right, so having none, I'll entertain a motion at 12:13 to close.
So move.
Second.
Councilman Franklin. Councilman Drake. Those in favor? Closing.
Sorry, Franklin, I have something to handle.
Drake, aye.
Smith, aye.
All right, that closes at 12:13 or 8:13. All right, so question on this.
So. Public hearing because we're changing zoning related. to it. Now, if you want to have a donation box, you yourself, I guess that's the next one is the application process. You yourself will have to apply. You can't just go to Burger. You have to apply to the city, say, I want to put a donation box up, get permission from the landowner, submit for elevations and all the normal things you have to do to build. Found some good examples of those.
So does staff, do we think we know where all of them are right now? So how are we going to know if someone didn't, we don't have, if we don't have a survey of what's there and somebody slips one in, they could have said, well, before we adopt this thing, it's there.
They still have to get the last, even the ones that exist.
That's my question.
Yes, they still have to get the license for the day-to-day operation. They're grandfathered on what properties.
So part of the ordinance sound like, for example, you have an X number of feet from a Villa Road. So like that Burger King is within that distance, right? So if they remove it, they can't go back. But there's other places that they fit in within that distance.
Is there any way to, are they for, do we know if they're nonprofit?
No, so we actually had a big discussion about that at P and Z. I wasn't even aware. I guess some of these guys put these things out and then just resell the
Yes,
clothes.
they do.
Which is insane. I didn't know that.
So they should be, we should be charging them tax.
Well, that's a business.
That's
Well,
what I'm.
now they're operating a business, right? So now zoning would come into play. I mean, Bob, help me out. I don't know.
Well,
Collection of
Yeah. the problem is how you ever gonna prove?
Well,
A lot of, well, like Goodwill has donation box.
That's right.
They sell the stuff that's in the box, but then they give the money away, so. it's
But
still
they need to
going like
provide
that.
their tax exempt or their identity paperwork. Can we write that in there?
Still pennies for heaven over here.
Yeah, but that's on their property and they, is it not? Is it on their property?
There's staff anymore. I think that's the only one they have.
But they should have to be able to provide their entity, their taxing entity.
I don't see how you enforce it, but we could ask. I guess.
Wait, so you're saying if you're a nonprofit, you should provide your
501c3.
501c3.
Whatever entity they are.
And if you're not a nonprofit. That's where you're trying to.
Things like that.
I'll change definition for donation box to include that it has to be for a nonprofit or charitable purpose.
I think that's what we need to have the discussion.
Do that,
Because
is there a legal definition of non-profitable or charitable purpose? It'd be up to our subjective review. Of
No, they would.
I want to put enforcement on them.
Nonprofit corporation or for
Okay,
charitable
that's different.
donation. Purpose.
yeah, that's what I'm getting at in the sense that
I mean,
they
there's
need to
a lot of
provide
ways.
that paperwork to show that that's what it is.
Well,
Whether
you
they
only provide the paperwork if you limit it to only those entities. There'd be no reason to show me the paperwork unless you are gonna limit who can have it done.
Well,
They're still accountable regardless if they're. Accountable for it.
Okay, yeah,
Especially a
that's-
report on the IRS.
I'm just I'm trying to think through you're saying if I'm an individual that wants to collect donations and then donate them. Have charitable corporation. 501c3. I couldn't do that. What you're thinking about, but because it's possible I could take those donations, sell them for profit. That's right. You're trying to limit the use or proposing the limit of use just to those bona fide credentialed charitable organizations. So Goodwill could still do this. They could still take the donations and resell them.
that's correct. But at least
But they're an organization that would have accountability. Be on board with that. I'm sure that there are some of these. This one in particular, but there are definitely some of these where there's no indication at all that it's for charitable purposes. This is literally a drop off lot.
I have another thrift store right there. There's a thrift store that we sell. But they're not donating anything.
Well,
That's their business.
But I think that if they're, yeah, I mean, that's the question too. If they're a business.
Not charitable.
But it's a different story if it's on their own private property. That's a gated. They're not open and out like this. All that land.
There's no way to kick them off, right? Ones that are already there.
Grandfather, because.
Let's start with this.
No, they have to get
But
the
they-
license though to operate. So if I have a donation box. They have no right to put that on anything, meaning they have that box, right? But anything beyond that is littering. Is that not true? That's
what
why we're doing the regulations. That's fine, but I'm saying is. So if it's your box, if it's your box and you get a license for your box and. No, listen to me. And stuff starts collecting outside, it's your box, you're gonna come and clean it up.
Find you $2,000.
Know who to contact.
Instead of whoever the property owner.
Unfortunately, we can't listen since we're already closed. It's discussion amongst. But thank you.
But I guess there's. I'm trying to get rid of stuff. Later, and I don't really care where it's going. I don't care, I just want to get rid of the stuff. So there's only stuff like that, then find somebody that's see one and.
It's
But you're
not that.
We wouldn't hold you responsible for that either.
Don't know that it matters. That's what I'm
It
getting.
doesn't matter if you treat it like a service, like this is a
Right.
service for me that lives in the city. I have a
There's two ways. to look
place
at
I can go and drop my things off.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. There's two ways to look at it. There's service to the citizen. Of the stuff, but then there's also the other side of it.
I mean, honestly, I think the biggest deal is the picture's gone now. The biggest deal is to make that picture doesn't happen. That's the
Right.
number one.
I agree, John. I agree.
But I understand what you're saying, Mr. Mayor. It's like, we have much better
Emma,
chance of
Emma.
that happening if it's
Put
a
the picture.
valid organization with credentials that we can verify. Better chance that you can hold that
So
accountable.
what's to stop John Doe from dumping his stuff there? Person owns the box. So they gotta maintain it daily.
That's with any business.
And that's what we're trying to do, is to make them accountable for maintaining it daily.
Mayor's point, that's easier to do if it's.
They usually turn out like this because no one comes and picks up the stuff inside of it.
Whoever owns this, it's just allowed.
This is MAD, which is Mother's
Right.
Day Front, right?
Uh,
They have a group of charities get together and support these kind of boxes, sorry.
Right.
They become dump sites.
Yeah. Or, and they just.
So did we clean that up?
No,
We did. So once we called them, they came and picked it up. This
Once we called
Burger King.
Burger King.
Burger King,
multiple times.
but if you're Burger King, you're gonna tell them, I'm not putting these things out anymore because I'm having to clean up your mess.
Or get fined.
Now, the onus is on who puts the box.
And what are they gonna have to pay to allow? What's their fee that they're paying to put one
We
out?
haven't established
the next
fee
one.
yet.
Well, I don't think it's set in the next one, is it?
No,
The
the
fee
fee
wasn't-
says will be established by resolution of city
Yeah, so
council.
we'll do a resolution later on to amend the fee schedule. I mean, it'd be $50, $100 a year or whatever. Or it can be more, it's whatever you think is necessary. It's not, you know, really what it needs to cover is staff time, right? Staff time to put the permit together, review the permit, and inspector or code enforcement officer to go by once a month and just make sure it's not, you know, kind of in control.
I was just bringing it up for discussion, you know, and I think if they're coming in, show that it holds more. Help my business.
I'm agreeing with you, but for a different reason. I think it's just easier to enforce if it's, someone doing this for profit and it looks good. I don't problem with, like, I don't need the charitable intent necessarily. I don't want the mess and then the city staff's time being spent on this.
My question more so tracking purposes. Can we scan through the photos, please? I think it was one of the, maybe the third or fourth one, I believe. But as it relates to tracking these boxes or regulating them. I know it wasn't that one, that one. Is it possible in this ordinance to include that it must have a
Has to be a
business
label.
stamp on it or something?
Yeah,
to track it?
that's what's in the ordinance.
That's in the ordinance as well?
Identifying, you know, who owns it, phone, you know, contact information, all that. stuff.
Okay.
The license.
Yes, yeah, so just, not only will it be on the permit, it's required to be on the box.
On a box, and secondly, accessing these boxes, this doesn't look, and I could be wrong, but this doesn't look like we have an approved surface to drive up to this. Looks like it's just tucked off near the railroad tracks or something.
It is, and
That's
one
why
of the
we
things
have
it
the
requires
SUP.
is,
SUP will take care.
well, it's not by,
That's right.
it's not by SUP. What do you mean, SUP?
This would be by ordinance, right?
Yeah, we're trying to change the ordinance so that we just simply have a permit. It's not an SUP process.
So it fits in these particular zoning districts, this far away from these roads.
Right.
On solid surface.
City approved or however you want to label it, but
Improved, sir.
something along that sort.
What is
Is that how it is?
I don't think they use these, I think. Or a TV. Right across from good ones. They're not good ones, but Hargrove Estate.
So who, each year they have to come back in and get a newest issued permit.
Yeah, it's like a renewal, yeah.
And do a different number
License.
like 2023-001,
Right.
24
Yeah,
dash.
but not to you guys, just to staff.
They'll have an active permit or license or.
Right. Yeah. it's
Gonna
like
have it
our-
So
be
it's
displayed on
easy to
the-
know that they've been in, the code drives by and sees 24, that's the year.
Yeah, like there'll be
It's
some
good
sort
for
of
the year.
displayed
Registration
sticker or something.
on the box, I mean, we don't have that. that's more paperwork stuff.
I
internal.
mean, I'm just thinking of a Charles enforcement. If you
Oh,
don't think you need
yeah.
it, then that's one thing, but.
Yeah, I think it'd be more of a, once we issue them, you know, then we're just on a rotating cycle of when they.
Like a
or
renewal.
or I guess the permit would expire all at the same time, similar to like a health permit. You know, we do every 6 months. So it could be something like that. And I think,
Doing your permit.
yeah, and I previously we were talking about instituting something where it all kicks in on some specific day, like September 1st or something.
Because
And so
current people come in.
That feels like it's just a staff logistics issue and everything.
Well,
Man,
the
it's-
regulations.
Well, if
go
it's, if it's yearly, you know, and if September 1st is the date, then we know, hey, everybody's, regardless of when you came in to get your permit, you still have to renew it on, you know, September 1st is the renewal day.
Makes sense.
Because that way we just do them all in one big swoop.
Oh,
So the regulations.
in August.
You
like,
haven't wrote
August-
any regulations yet, really.
No, the regulations are written in.
Here.
Oh, that's the next thing, right?
Let's say the regulations will be effective September.
Okay.
Year.
1 year. Okay.
Got it.
And then the fee is to be established, but the
You'll-
application process is.
Sometime this summer you'll have
Yeah.
to do that. And I usually do that.
All right,
Time out pretty well with such.
so we're still on 12. You got any other questions?
No questions.
Sir? Nope. All right,
You got all our notes, Bob?
Yeah,
Okay, good.
I'm good.
all right.
Thank you, guys.
So
Bob, do you want to read?
All you need to do,
changes is just
well,
approve.
yeah, just approve the ordinance and I'll make the changes as to, it has to be add improved surface to the regulations and then effective September 1.
Moved.
Second.
All right, so that's Lightfoot. Break, oh, I'm sorry. Franklin, I apologize.
That was just for 23 dash.
Now,
Actually, the zoning ordinance go in effect right now, so that's now required. Once we pass this, then that means tomorrow or the day after, you can only put one of these characters in a district that meets the requirements of the ordinance. The regulations and the paying of the fee go into effect.
so no date on this one. Except for tomorrow. And that's for 23-015 and Franklin and Lightfoot. Did
Correct,
that one. Lightfoot and Franklin.
correct.
Those in favor?
Franklin, I.
Great guy.
Sorry, that's so complicated for such a small issue. I made it.
It hadn't been addressed before, so
Well,
we gotta get it right.
Right, okay. So item 13, conduct a public hearing. And conduct approval of ordinance number. We'll take just a few minutes.
Already had basically a public hearing.
Okay, we still got
Still
it.
have 3.
Okay, I apologize. Approval of ordinance number 23-016, City of Red Oak, Texas, amending the code of ordinance by amending chapter 4 business regulations by adding article 4.09 donation box, providing an repealing clause, providing a severability clause, providing a savings clause, and providing a penalty of fine not to exceed the sum of $2,000 for each offense, and providing an effective date.
This is the one that will be effective September 1st, 2023, and will include an extra condition that donation box has to be located on an improved.
So did we decide that
No,
they
you
have to
did
do?
not.
Can we or not?
Yeah.
On this one?
Yeah,
Yeah, this is the application process where we could put in any of those. Okay.
And we'll set the fee later this summer. Is that correct? Okay, with the budget. Okay. Is anybody interested in asking them to provide their tax ID number?
tax ID
What do you want?
number. They have to prove that they're a charitable organization
In good standing.
in compliance with the
Keep adding.
frickin' tax code.
You have to have a heart of gold and
Yeah.
only be collecting for the good of everyone.
Yeah, so they either have to give proof that they're a legal charitable organization as authorized by the Internal Revenue Code or as a nonprofit corporation incorporated in the state.
All right.
Well, the IRS is 501c3.
Okay, I'm good with that in concept. Just want to be sure, is that easy enough for our staff to identify and collect information on for now? That's what I'm worried about. I don't want the fee to be $500 because it takes so much work to get an application done. So
If they're an organization.
It'll be part of the permit and it'll be a checkbox and they'll have some.
they'll provide whatever they've got and you'll sign off on it at the
If they're
time.
lying, then take away their permit. You know?
We're not gonna keep it. We're just gonna look
Right,
at it.
right.
Okay.
see that
They just have to demonstrate. proof.
Most churches all have.
Yes,
all of
they
take
do.
Donations, they all have that, they have to be a church, right?
Have to even take.
Well, they don't pay taxes.
They don't pay
so-
tax, but they still have to, they have a.
Some kind of
They can
registration.
pass the plate, yeah.
All right,
Okay.
so entertain the approval of ordinance number 23-016, according to Bob,
As amended.
as amended.
So moved.
All right, Councilman Drake. Second by Lightfoot. Those in favor?
I didn't hear the.
Aye. Lightfoot, aye.
Smith, aye.
3-0 with one abstention. Passes. For approval of that ordinance. Get you up, sir. It was just that,
We added all your conditions.
I knew you did.
okay. All right.
Public perception is key.
Yeah, we need to put a speaker in the bathrooms. One way. Item 14,
Well,
conduct a public
maybe
hearing
a
and
speaker
consider
pick
approval of
mic.
ordinance number 23-017 in the city of Red Oak, Texas, providing a voluntary annexation of territory generally described as being 83.956 acres, more or less, out of the J. Conway Survey Abstract number 223 in the city of Red Oak, ETJ, Ellis County, Texas, as described in Exhibit A, which is attached here to and incorporated here in for all purposes to the city of Red Oak, Texas, and extending the boundary limits of the city so as to include said property within the city limits and granting to all inhabitants and owners of the said property all of the rights and privileges of other citizens, and binding all inhabitants by all ordinances, acts, resolutions, regulations of said city, providing for a service plan, providing which is attached here to and incorporated herein by reference, providing a severability clause and providing an effective date.
So this is, as we've talked before, this is the property that IDC has under contract. Day of this week, and we've already had the prerequisites needed, and this would just be the final action approving the annexation. It is voluntary by the current property owner prior to the closing. Staff recommends approval.
This is a public hearing. We're opening it at 8:36. Was there anything that needed to here that wants to speak, or was there anybody on the room? Okay. About at 8:37, entertain the motion to close the public hearing.
So move.
Second. Franklin. Those in favor?
Franklin, I.
Frank, aye.
Aye. Smith, aye.
0. And, any questions that need to happen from council?
Curiosity question, is there some benefit for the current property owner to do it versus?
He can sell it and we can buy it.
Fair enough.
Otherwise,
We can't buy it if it's not in the city, within the city. That makes sense. That's a very clean cut answer. Thank you. Don't know why I've never thought to ask that question before, because I've seen this happen more than once, so.
So you need more explanation?
Yeah,
No,
so otherwise,
that's good enough.
otherwise we would have to go through the county,
Okay.
get their permission to spend our money.
Perfect sense. I agree. Just wasn't sure what the sequence was.
Okay. Entertain a motion to approve, any other questions? Okay.
I mean, this sells, it's done deal.
Yes.
No backing out.
Closing, I looked at the closing documents today, and so
Entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 23-017. Second. Councilman Lightfoot, Councilman Drake. Those in favor?
Franklin, I.
Frank, aye.
Lightfoot, I.
Passes 4-0. Item 15, are we finally get to do this one?
no.
Man. Okay,
I called them and they told me to call back.
okay, so we will.
Again, they have agreed to the density
Density.
requests. They just have not agreed yet to engineering.
Okay.
Development regulation.
Okay, so I don't have to we just vote for that or no?
You can just move this item to June 15th. When is it? June 12th.
Okay, we'll just move that to June 12th. All right, item 16, appointments, reappointments, resignations for boards and commissions. Consider approval regarding the following P and Z. Accept the resignation of Daryl Leroy Sklice, effective April 26th of 2023, and is that correct? Or we don't have to do each one separately? Okay, and appointment of Michael Brawley as a regular member for the remainder of the 2-year term from June 22nd, June 2022 to June 2024. Entertain a motion for those. Second. Lightfoot. Smith, those in favor?
Franklin, I.
Frank, aye.
Smith, aye.
Passes 4-0. Excellent.
Mr. Mayor, this quick question. Do we ever get any feedback when citizens resign? The board position?
There's
Not
a
to add
resignation
to
letter.
He moved.
Okay.
There's a resignation letter in our package, but I mean, I've thought about that before, like if it was for a reason, like there's the causes of it. I think everybody gives us, there's only been a few times we've had to remove someone because we stopped hearing from them, but
Right.
typically it's usually they move or they send us a letter like.
Like I know
Derek
his
did.
reasoning.
Yeah,
I was saying like
I
in
got you.
general, do we ever get like feedback on?
Generally get arrested.
Okay.
And that's usually why.
Or run for city council?
Or running for city council.
That happens too sometimes.
That would be, yeah.
Not always.
Not always. Sometimes they make you do both.
Are we good? All right,
Sir, Mr.
Thank
Mayor, sorry about that.
Chief.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just want to say thank you for our new facilities. It's turned out beautiful, and just want to say thank you for allowing us for this to for this to come to fruition, and thank city staff for all the oversight and making it all happen. So thank you all. Couple things I'd like to bring to your attention on in April, we had a pretty busy month with state inspections for us. On April 6th, we had our Texas Commission on Law Enforcement, our TICO audit. There were no deficiencies found. We do have TICO in our office because of the fire marshal side. Through this audit, TICO looks at our records for each sworn officer, including appointment dates, drug screening, physical or psychological evaluations, criminal history, firearm qualifications, and continuing education hours. And again, we didn't have any deficiencies in there. Also, on April the 18th, we had our biennial Texas Commission on Fire Protection, the TCFP audit. There were no deficiencies found. Through this audit, the commission looks at over 30 areas within our organization, which include our policies and procedures, maintenance records, training, our personal protective equipment, our SCBAs, breathing air maintenance, air quality standards, incident management, firefighter wellness and fitness, live fire training, injury reporting, and more. Because of the hard work and thoroughness of the members, we had 0 deficiencies from the Texas Commission on Fire Protection as well. Also wanted to let you know that later this week, on Wednesday, May 10th, the apparatus committee will be going to Appleton, Wisconsin to do the final inspection on our new lighter truck that we ordered back in October of 21. Yes, sorry, it's been so long. It slips my brain exactly when we ordered it. Here's a couple sneak peek pictures of it, just so y'all could take a look. I don't know what he said, but no comments from the cheap seats. Also want to give you an update on Brush 182, which you all approved in the October or the FY23 budget. We continuously check with the dealer, and Ford has not started production on this vehicle yet, although they tell us that we do have a completion date of April of 24. So we're checking back regularly. As you know, there are many vehicle components that they're still waiting on, as if you kept up with any of that. And so we're still checking regularly. Hopefully we'll get some better updates, and hopefully we'll get it by April of 24. The last thing I want to bring to your attention, these guys had to leave on a call, but on April 4th, Captain Lance Wilkinson, driver engineer George Guerrero, and firefighter Carlos Quiones They deployed to Merkel, Texas through the TIFMAS for a wildland. Our personnel were out there for 4 days. They were able to mitigate out there, help those other first responders. And they reported back with no injuries and no damage to city vehicles. But just, again, like to say thank you for allowing us that opportunity and allowing our staff to further their education and training by going and helping our fellow Texans. Other than that, I don't have anything unless you all have any questions from the monthly report. Yes, sir. Thank you, Chief. Before.
Mayor, council, have just two things tonight. As you saw earlier, we were able to hire 2 new officers, lateral entries. Cumulative experience about 20 years. I gave 2 conditionals last week where we're gonna pick up approximately about another 9 or 10 years worth of experience on 2 lateral entries, and they will start on the 29th of this month. So we're making some progress in filling our vacancies. That leaves us with 2 currently. And we're endeavoring to fill those as well. The other thing that I wanted to kind of give a real quick update on the animal control building renovations. We reached out to Shelter Planners of America to come out and give us a needs assessment on that particular building and what renovations might be necessary. We're currently evaluating that assessment, and we've also contracted with another company to give us some overview as to what the potential renovations might look like. So we're hoping to hear back from them. We actually have a meeting with them this week on some preliminary scope and scale of those renovations. And we hope to be able to bring something to the council relatively soon with a strategy for renovations. And I'm happy to answer any questions on the monthly report. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Steve.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So staff has been working really hard this month on several small projects, most of them related to the move into this new facility and getting that information out to the residents. We also have been working on finalizing our fiscal year 2024 budget, which will include possible renovations for certain areas of the Red Oak Municipal Center. So we're taking a look at that right now. And then I'd also like to share that both CMB and Oaks Church have renewed their sponsorship for the 2023 Red Oak White and Blue, which will be taking place on July 1st at the Oaks Church. I will take any questions anybody might have.
Thank you, ma'am.
Real quick, and this may be kind of a crossover question between you. But on the screens out in the main hallway,
Yes,
that's something that we're putting together.
yes. It is.
Mayor, Council, in addition to the report, I wanted to bring up a couple different things. There's been some talk a little bit lately about short-term rentals, Airbnb, VRBO. Some cities have regulations, we do not. I did go do some research just to see how many we had look like in the city. I got on Airbnb and VRBO. Between them, I found about 12. And some of them were listed on both sites. So there's probably about 7 in the city. In general, I would probably encourage them, especially around the ball fields and stuff like that for weekend tournaments. But I do think we should be collecting the hotel motel tax on them. And so, Bob, does that require an ordinance or just some kind of registration system that we could at least get the hotel motel on?
I'll look at our ordinance again, but I believe it says for a rental under 30 days under state law.
Okay, so
I think we have a tax on the books.
I think we would have to have some sort of license or some sort of agreement with
You have to sign a
Airbnb and with
to collect the money.
BBR, whatever, do the collections. Because
Right.
the individuals are not gonna say.
Hey, can you do that with the organization? I didn't know how that was normally done. So
Yeah.
that makes sense.
They collect it when you pay your food,
Plus,
hotel. So that would just be a simple registration that we would send to the owners, or is that an additional ordinance we would have to pass in order to create a registration process?
You don't, you wouldn't need to do a registration process. It's required under state law to pay.
Okay.
I think we would actually need to set that up through Airbnb and
It's an
Oh.
agreement that usually finance signs.
they're collecting the
Okay.
money currently. And then I think then the question is, where is that money going? It's obviously not coming here because I pulled up our sales tax collections over the last 6 months. We don't have any Airbnb or VRBO sales tax.
Okay.
Yeah, it's hot tax, so it's usually paid directly to us. And we do get some hot tax notifications through our sales tax collection, but we're currently not getting that either, so. But anyway, long story short, I think we register with them and then they remit it to us. So I think then the other question is can we get the back taxes that they've been collecting? Since that property was listed on there.
Assuming they have been collecting it, because I think you ran a kind of a,
I did go through it as if I was gonna book one of these places in Red Oak, and it didn't specifically call out occupancy tax. Whereas.
And I'd be
on-
collecting it even.
Right, so on other ones I have seen where it does, it's specific, one of your line items that says occupancy tax. So,
there's some cities that we have examples. Not all of them, a lot of them just like that.
Are these SCRs, are these approved by ordinance or are we looking to get these approved?
there's no approvals right now because there's no ordinance saying they're not allowed, or they are allowed.
Okay,
So people are just doing it, but like I said, there's only about 7 or 8 that I can tell on the 2 major booking sites.
I'm kind of concerned with short-term rentals. Especially being a huge advocate for hotels coming to build here.
I think we may not have a whole lot of choice, but
Yeah, that we agree with, going through it in another area.
But, you know, on the other hand, user type situation, or a lot of people who come down to a tournament, I know this because it's what we're doing, going to baseball tournament. So you'll have some people that won't stay here because they will only stay in a B and B type situation. They won't go. But I think you kind of gotta have both to be able to get, you know, enough people here to stay for the tournaments. I understand what you're saying, but I'm also saying that if we don't do it, then we're gonna be turning away some stays that we would collect the hot tax on. If we don't.
How much is the typical hot tax?
Was it 7.75?
7%. Oh, I thought it was 7%. Is that?
7% for us, 7.75.
14.75.
Thank you.
So we can kind of either,
Something you're doing internally.
yeah, if we can just do it internally and.
Well, I think, yes, and I think we probably will have to bring it back for council action, because I think there probably will be an agreement that needs to be approved between the actual corporate functions. If we don't, then that's fine, but I would expect it being an agreement. Tax collections, that I would expect we would need some form of agreement for them to make those collections and pass them to.
So you think they'd have something that they would want
Yeah.
to prove we are
Yeah.
who we are?
Yeah.
Right, right.
But it's-
Well,
it's
if they
finance
collect the
versus
money,
zoning.
then they've got to remit it to us and they become our agent.
Your research, what was the average going around here?
There was there was down from like a room, like someone's just renting a room in their house for $50 a night up to, I couldn't tell. There's one that is, it looks like it's on the edge of Ovilla and Red Oak. It's got like a pool with a big slide and it's like a farm, I guess, and it's like 3,000 a night or something crazy. But they have like hotel, or they have like weddings, I guess, and stuff out there. So
Right there behind,
is that in Red Oak?
oh, it's
Oh,
right behind that city hall. What's that, Pecan Hill?
Pecan Hill, yeah, I've
Okay.
seen it,
Yeah.
Okay.
like a
The wedding
resort.
venue,
Yeah.
amusement park.
On that they have to register.
Well, there's all kinds of different ways to do it. So other cities, they have parking regulations and, you know, they have specific uses tied to them, like things like you can't, you know, specifically use it for a venue only or something like that. And it just kind of reiterates the noise ordinance, stuff like that.
I think there's two different things that we need to do. I think one is we need to bring back some sort of an agreement with Airbnb for them to collect the taxes that they already have. Now, if it's just some independent trying to rent something out where hey, you'll never know. Yeah, but there's not gonna be many of those out there because looking for an Airbnb or looking for Airbnb or VBR. But I think that's something that we can go ahead and move forward with in putting that type of agreement in place to do the collections. I think it may be wise to wait and see what the state ends up doing before we go spend a whole lot of time figuring out the regulations. If we want to put regulations on them, then I think that's fine, but I think we wait and see what the state does before we do that. We can bring that back at a later time if we need to.
That same type of thing for like daycares, and things like that, for out of homes.
No, that's a home occupation,
But is there a tax for that?
is service.
Now it's a sale for the use tax. I'm familiar with is you define lodging house and lodging. Boom, and then there's STRs and. So.
Okay.
So
Thank
one more thing in addition to the staff report is that, we, part of our regular boards, you know, we've got planning and zoning commission. But in addition to that, we need to have a zoning board of adjustment or ZBOA for short. Typically this board hears, what are called variances from the zoning ordinance. In the past and kind of ever since I've been here, all of the variances kind of were coming back to you guys in the form of PDs. And that way we could kind of entitle the property through that zoning process versus the variance process. And the big issue with variances and why it really doesn't come up that much is the first thing anybody says when they always come in my office and they slam their fists on the desk and they say, I just want a variance. I said, I can't do that. And most of the time, 99.9% of the time, it's because they did something, specifically, you know, built something without a permit or built it over a building line or whatever. And so there's a very clear ruling of how the ZBOA would have to rule is that a variance can't be granted in the case of a self-created hardship. And so that shuts down almost anything. And then we go on to the PD route to bring it before you guys to talk about it. And so we did get an application for a variance that was not a self-created hardship. And so we have to follow the process now that's laid out in the ordinance. And so because of that, we now need a zoning board of adjustment. It's supposed to consist of 5 regular members and 4 alternates. That's a lot. So if we can just get 5 regulars, that'd be great. So if you guys could please reach out to anyone you may know that would want to be involved in this, so that we can make an appointment and have a meeting. It would be very low time commitment. As like I said, I've been here 5 years now, and this is the first actual application that could be processed as a variance request. So it would be just maybe something to put on their resume and not have to really do anything. Good sales pitch. All right.
And so, you know, I've talked to some of y'all about it. We'll continue with that.
Okay. All right.
But we need
thanks.
to get that done because the timeframe for that to come in.
I don't know that there's an actual time. frame.
Well, we've got to provide a meaningful
Okay,
hearing
okay.
within a meaningful time.
Right.
Yeah, I'll get with y'all individually.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Gloria's away at a conference, so I'll present the finance reports today. We just have a couple of comments. Now that we've settled into the new building, citizens know where we are and they know where to take their payment. We've had the kiosk online for a few weeks now, and citizens are getting used to the fact that we do have a kiosk and what that box does. So we're getting a lot less questions on how do you use it and how do you assert your payment. So we feel like that's working out very well for our department. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have about the finance report or anything else.
Sorry, what is your name?
Anya Pinson.
Anya is the Assistant Finance Director.
I apologize, I didn't introduce you.
Oh, no worries. I tried to just sneak in and out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Samantha.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is my height, so thank you. I just have a brief update on recruitment. As you've heard, in April, we hired 3 new employees, 2 officers and 1 firefighter. And we already have 2 on the books for this month for police. And we are currently have 4 openings on our website. At the end or at the beginning of June, we will issue an RFP for our benefits citywide for all of our lines of insurance. Hopefully we get good responses to that, and I'll have something positive to bring back in July for all of you to review. I don't have anything additional for my monthly report, but I'm available for any questions you may have.
Ma'am. Birthday, Mr. B. All right.
Mayor, Council, just gonna update on a couple of things. We did, after you approved the copiers last month, we did install 16 new copiers this month. And so those are all in and everybody's happy because lots of people went about a month without any copier. So they're probably happy with not having to walk all over the building. Installed all new laptops in the fire vehicles this month, took out all their old computers and spent the rest of the month working in this building, trying to get this room ready and a couple of the conference rooms and then fighting fires after all the moves and everything.
Not literally, I hope.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Not
Do we need
really.
our tablets and
Chromebooks.
Oh, the Chromebooks, yeah, you probably won't
Probably
need
the
them in here.
Chromebooks anymore. You may want the iPad still.
The
Still
iPad,
have packets, so-
yeah, you could still pull up the agenda and all that on your iPad, the packet.
Chromebooks we don't.
No. Not unless we have a COVID
Oh, you have
outbreak
them.
again or something.
Very good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Logan, thank you.
And
Logan, one second. Before Logan gets started, I wanted to let everybody know that we're planning to have a retirement reception that we're partnering with LS&S on for Logan. That's going to be going out any day now, invitation wise, for May 26th. That's a Friday from 10 to 12. Red Oak Public Library's put it out there, so it's out there. All right. And so anyways, it's here at the new library from 10 to 12 on May 26th. So I didn't want Logan to send out the invitation on his behalf. So I wanted to make sure to invite everybody.
Well, the LS&S and my staff, kind of behind the scenes, kind of been working with city staff and stuff to put it out. So I appreciate it. And I've already getting lots and lots and lots of great comments that I greatly appreciate. First of all, like Ben, I'd like to definitely thank you guys for the new library space. It's fantastic. We're really, really grateful for the new furniture, new shelving and the space. Customers are walking in and they're in amazement. And a lot of them are saying things like, you've come so far from 950 square feet to what we have now. And so it's a tribute to you guys to support the library so strongly. Also, I wanted to just spotlight a couple of things from the statistics. Unique borrows was up 47%. And just to sort of remind you, unique borrows are different users. And from the beginning, since I've been here since 2015, I've been here 7 years now. It was really, really important to show to the city council and to the staff that it wasn't just like maybe a handful of 10 book club ladies that were coming in and checking out books, and that accounted for our whole circulation. It really does stand up for a lot of great families that come to the library. Since we've opened in the new space, I'm seeing new faces every day, new faces, new family members. Oh, in fact, I saw one of our new police officers who now works for, I think, the city of Dallas. He and his family came in today and got a library card and introduced themselves and stuff like that. So that's Unique Borrows. Also, circulation for this month is up 51% from last year. And I think we're on target from our highest months are June, July, August because of the summer reading club program. So we're on target to really have a higher increase in circulation. Lastly, I just want to thank you guys, current city council members and past city council members for always being so supportive to me and to the library. You guys have just been great. I've learned a lot in the past 7 years, and a hardworking city council and hardworking city staff. I've learned a lot about cities and how they worked, and more than I probably ever will use in my lifetime, but I appreciate it. And if anybody has any questions about the staff.
Yes,
about-
I do. What are we doing to increase the number of books? Shelves, because the library is grand now. So
Yeah. The shelving, as I understand the shelving, we're working on the budget now with the city. And so the shelving will increase with the next year's budget, because the money that we had for this building was a pie that was split between all the departments and everything. And so now with future needs of the library, we will go through this budget process, and LS&S will work with the next director and increase. I'm actually working with them, also increasing the amount of shelving. And also, I didn't report this in anything I report, but the Friends of the Library, which a lot of them were here earlier today, the Friends of the Library are doing some great fundraising, and that money, I'll go ahead and report you, they've raised about $22,000 in the past 2 months with a lot of generous support from the community. And that money will be used also to kind of fill out and flesh out the children's collection. The children's furnishing area, and some soft seating for the rest of the space.
And just so you know, we're currently, I'm in discussions with LS&S on how we grow the collection, and so we're working through that now. Timing is perfect as far as the budget comes. They're looking at staffing, they're looking at all levels of service that the library now can provide with the additional space. So when we come back to our budget workshops, you'll see all that information in your packets, and we'll discuss the plans moving forward for the library.
You know, as an aside, I used to tell the city administration, I could ask for a lot of things in the old building, but there was no place to put it, so now there's a lot of space. And so you'll see this library budget will have some requests. They will have some requests.
actually, thank you so much.
You are more than welcome, and it
Absolutely.
was my pleasure. My pleasure. Thanks. After, I will say on a personal note, after 50 years of being in public libraries, I couldn't have asked for a better place to end my career. So I do appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
All right, Mr. Kelly.
Good evening. How do you follow that? Well, first of all, I'd like to invite everybody to the Movie in the Park Family Camp is the movie. It's gonna be the first Friday in June, June the 2nd. So bring your friends, bring your family, come on out. We'll have some free drinks and some free snacks and everything at the movie. Check online on our Facebook page in the event that the movie changes. We do have an option now sometimes to use inside of the building if it's available. In the event we have another weather event, that wind typically is our enemy with that big screen, and anything over 10 miles an hour, and that thing could take off. So we have to be very cognizant of the weather and cancel if we have to. And it's unfortunate when we do, but it's out of abundance of caution, as they say nowadays. So just trying to be safe. And so that the movie was Family Camp, and we're going to try that again on June the 2nd. June the 10th, which is the Saturday after a week later, is Take a Kid Fishing Day. It's 8:30 to 10:30 over at the Municipal Lake. That is being sponsored by the Tajin Restaurant. Again, he's been a very big supporter. Parks and Wildlife will bring in the loads of catfish probably about 3 days before. They typically don't announce exactly when, because sometimes people will show up trying to catch them. And they'll be disappointed the first 24 to 48 hours, but after that, they get a little hungry after they've settled in, so it's easier to catch. So we try to get them in there just so they'll settle down enough so the kids will have some good catching going on. Third item I had wanted to visit about was that we finished the walkway at Lake Trail Drive. That is the other water body that we have over in Red Oak that's kind of behind the Public Works building and kind of to the north and west of Public Works in the back. That walkway's finished, the rail's finished. And so I'm pretty excited about that. And next year, for next year's budget, we'll be asking for some more trails to actually extend that portion of that trail. You'll be able to get around without hitting the streets. And so we'll continue to do that as part of our plan for the parks and following our comp plan. And then the final thing I wanted to visit about was I've been working with Bob because we've had an individual noise complaint about the ball fields. I realize that, the more people you get in an area, the louder it's gonna get, but we have a ordinance right now that's a little bit outdated. Typically, you and I could have a normal conversation and violate that ordinance. It's a 50-foot ordinance. Any noise that's created that goes further than 50 feet is a violation. So we would like to, basically, we've got a base level of reading by a decibel meter. We're trying to see what's reasonable. What would a reasonable person expect to hear in certain situations, such as a ballpark, where you'll have some noises coming. You might have a PA over at the football field that would, announcing the kids and the cheerleaders and everything, and that would be in violation of the current ordinance. And we'd like to amend that in order to kind of satisfy some of these areas, looking at things such as the level of reasonableness of the noise leaving, and also the time of day. We don't want to go too far, too early, too far, too late, because people, they should have a little bit of peace and quiet for most of the day. So we're looking at all that as a complete deal. And I didn't know if anybody had any questions, comments, or concerns about that.
You gotten complaints? Yeah, because some of my neighbors, I live in the neighborhood right behind ball fields here, over here. And they've complained about it, but I'll tell you, just for me personally, the band at football games, I hear louder than those ball games are. I mean, sometimes you hear people cheering, but
We've had one that's complained.
I don't know that you can dictate.
people
noise at
cheering.
a
I mean,
Stadium.
it's a person.
Yeah.
It's not like it's PAs. It's not that. It's just people cheering.
It's
And
to be expected if you live next to
I'm
it.
right by the football field. When I hear it.
Well, yeah,
I
you're
get
close
band.
by, but I mean, when the band's playing at the football stadium, it sounds louder than those baseball games do.
I just don't know how we dictate it, if it's a natural crowd reaction.
Well,
And it's kind of like Kyle, some of his testing, so you had music and PAs and running, but the loudest thing that was going was the girls cheering
Yes.
when somebody had a big hit or home run or something. And that was one thing that got really loud.
Sure.
Yeah,
So-
it feels like a noise limiter, maybe on electronic things like PAs and music and stuff would be different than like crowd noise or people noise. But I mean, that's a tough one. Yeah.
You gotta be able to have some.
That's the point of a
PA
game.
systems.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, if you put hours on it, I mean, I've seen the complaints too, like.
That could be like an after party or something like that, but I mean, for an actual event, I just think it's hard for us to try to dictate that. I mean, it's an event.
100% agree. Yeah, I don't, yeah. I mean, putting a 50 decibel limit is probably very, very low.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not an overnight tournament.
Right.
Yeah, I can tell you from what Bob had me do is we went out and did it. Like the other day, we went out Friday before anybody showed up at the fields and did just a dead silent wind, whatever, and the decibel meters was 65 on the DVC meter, which is the one that we like to use because it's more realistic to human ears hearing. Sunday out there at the ball fields, like I said, cheering was 101 when the girl hit the inside the park home run, and then airplane going over hit about 85. And that was a Southwest Airlines plane, probably at 20,000 feet.
happens 10 times a day.
I mean, honestly, I don't know what we would expect reasonable to be as far as noise during those hours, but you know, I think coming up with something, maybe we look at what maybe other cities have done or whatever, or and like Bob keeps telling me, it's what would a reasonable person expect in that situation?
Then the other problem, so the second problem is whatever you set it at, then it is incredibly difficult to enforce. Because, you know, PD's gotta go out there at the time that it's happening and they've gotta experience it and act on it. And
PD enforced against on a baseball game.
Barking dog.
PD enforced against a noise violation at a baseball game.
Talking about person in particular, the officers have shown up and they go with the reasonable standard. Is it unreasonable, given the circumstances,
Baseball game.
the
Sunday
weather
afternoon.
conditions, all of that? And the officers have deemed it, I mean, there's some discretion there, but they've deemed it to not be unreasonable given the set of circumstances. If it was loud music, if it were using a PA, they're playing their walk-up songs, they've talked to some of the parents and said, hey, could you dial it back a little bit on the electronic devices, but it's all based on what is reasonable. And so would a reasonable and prudent person believe those noises to be in excess? And so the officers have used their discretion, and in every instance, they've deemed it not unreasonable.
I wouldn't expect anything less. It's baseball game, baseball noises. So.
But we haven't taken any enforcement action. We have documented it on our call sheets. And they're using that verbiage and that terminology within their call sheets, that it's not unreasonable.
I just wanted to let y'all know where we're at and what's going on with that, so we may come back and ask for some approvals on some items related to noise coming from particularly the sports fields.
but you're mowing your yard.
That's all the question, everything, and if anybody has
It's
any
louder.
questions.
I'm glad you're considering it. I don't know what the answer is though. And I mean, it feels like as long as you've got reasonable hours and you're not letting people play games at 2 a.m, I don't know what else you could do, honestly. But I appreciate you thinking about it. Look forward to- If you come up with a recommendation that'll solve it, that'd be great.
Thanks,
Thank you, sir.
appreciate it.
White noise going the other way. I don't know.
Public Works, thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I just want to give you a couple updates on our major street projects. Methodist Street is tentatively scheduled to open up, Friday, May 19th. That's pending no nasty weather or anything like that, but the pavement's all done. They're working on the sidewalks, driveway approaches right now. Then they'll start in on, anywhere that they need to seed or sod. We're gonna get that signal light turned back on at Methodist and Red Oak Road about 2 days prior, just to get people used to it. So if you need some tickets, you know, just sit out there. That's right. But we're gonna get the signal lights turned back on so that people can get used to it before there is actually traffic going through there. Cole and Rugged Road, Texas Bit is doing those. They're looking at the end of this month or the 1st of June. And the Beckley Pikes, precinct 4 is gonna be taking care of that for us. That's Overlook, Dana, Carson, Baldwin. They're looking at, possibly, moving in sometime next week. Depending on how they finish up their current jobs. And then after they finish that, they would move on to, Ranch Road and, wow. Good one. Sorry.
I made one up. We wouldn't know.
Yeah, Ranch and Pebble Creek. So in between Ranch Road and Houston School Road. The Live Oak Building demo, we should have the asbestos report back within the week. And then we are currently finalizing that RFP in-house in Public Works, and we'll push it out to city administration and other departments for their review on that as well. AT&T has disconnected, Atmos is disconnected. Encore, we're waiting on some paperwork. And then the Public Works Department is working on getting the water and sewer off to those facilities as well. But they're all very interconnected, and it's been a scavenger hunt trying to find where those water lines go. Methodist Pump Station, They finally finished the subgrade preparation and they're gonna start working on the slab of the ground storage tank later next week. Getting the subgrade perfect is absolutely key. It's gotta be perfectly level, gotta be exact elevation. So they spend a lot of time on that, and Sergio has done a fantastic job being on site. You know, multiple times a day, checking all that stuff in all of our job sites. And lastly, Public Works Week on Thursday morning. We are doing a pancake breakfast at Public Works. So if anybody is not busy that Thursday morning, please feel free to stop by, grab some pancakes, bacon, eggs, all that good stuff. But we really appreciate y'all for really appreciating Public Works and the budget and all that stuff. Any further questions for Public Works?
All good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Stand up and dance a jig and.
Well, Mayor, Council, I have good news. We were able to have the May 8th city council meeting in the new council chambers. That was good. Yeah. So we're,
He's on his way.
we're getting closer and closer week by week with the building. There's still quite a few things left to complete. Most things most people wouldn't notice, but they're just small parts issues or things that we've encountered since we moved in that we're working through. So the general contractor AUI is still actively working on the building, and I was going to give some recognition to Carrie, but I think she's hiding in the back right now. Carrie's been around quite a bit in the last month or so, helping us get moved in, helping us with furniture, all the kinks, all the punch list items. She's here tonight just to make sure everything went okay. So we appreciate Carrie and all her hard work, and the Fitzpatrick design consulting folks as well. I wanted to also give a shout out to Lindy Brightwell, who's not here tonight, but she's our new administrative specialist. You may have seen her at the front. She's been a huge help to me. It's kind of my right hand as we've worked through the move and different things, as late as coasters this afternoon, so we didn't damage our new wood. So, but Lindy's been great and has come up with some really good ideas on her own. So we'll get through the building. Hopefully by the next meeting, everything's just even a little bit smoother, little kinks are worked out. And we'll just kind of keep moving forward through there. I appreciate everybody that's, been flexible and been patient with us as we've gone through that process. The back portion of the roof has been complete, so that second portion is done, gutters installed. They've got a couple areas they have to kind of touch up on some leaks, but that's done. And so, like I said, I think we're at probably 99.5% complete today. As we moved in the building, there's been some different things that have come up, and if you've been through the building, you may have noticed that now the access control and the configuration of the building is somewhat different than our old building. If you'll remember the old municipal center, we had an access control on each end of the building. So the finance UB area was secured, and then the city manager's area was secured. Here we have a lot more hallway space, a lot more secure area. So one of the comments that's come up since we've been in the building from council has been access to different parts of the building. And so city manager and myself and city secretary have kind of talked about different options on how that might work. At the old building, staff was the only people who had access. So on either end of the building, staff was the only access. So what we've come up with is providing access cards if council would like, that would allow council to get into the city secretary and the administrative areas. And then also this executive session area here in the back. And then that way, if, for example, if you came to, to see one of us, or if you needed to see one of us and speak to a department specifically, then we could arrange that and we can make sure that we could hold those meetings. So wanted to open it up. I know that we had talked to the mayor about this previously, so I'm not sure if he has anything to say about it. But open it up for comments, direction from you guys on how we handle the access control.
So it kind of passed out this org chart. And the whole rationale for that is staff here, they have their own tasks and directives to be able to get things done, and they answer specifically according to the org chart to Mr. Phillips as the assistant manager. So we don't need to be going in there and bothering them and getting them to whole favorite task or whatever. We need to be working again through Mr. Fuller on down, you know, as we continue to grow, they are so busy in what they're doing. So I ask that you just don't go in there. Not gonna have access to go in there, talk to them. If not to say that they're not gonna talk to you, but we want to approach it through Phillips or Fuller, Mr. Phillips and Mr. Fuller. So and so that access control gets us into Stevens, yours, yeah. Area, and then this door here and this back door here.
Yes, sir. And also the large conference room as well. That area as well.
That's part of y'all's.
Yes, sir.
strategy, right?
Administration.
So.
Yeah, that limited access is fine with me. I mean, again, I'm glad you said that, Mr. Mayor. Going
Yes,
into any
yeah, we-
department areas and unescorted from, city manager.
Actually pay for that, sir.
Yeah, exactly.
Pay for it.
So I think the other question, I think we answered it, Fifth was being in fitness center. I think you gotta sign some waivers and those types of things, but we can put that fitness center access card.
That a paid service, if so, I don't mind paying for it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm.
No, and TML has said that as long as the waivers are complete, that we're covered, the city's covered.
Okay. Yeah, I actually echo your sentiments, Mr. Mayor, and speaking from another experience, is nothing worse than having a council member all in your face when you're trying to work. So I actually agree with that. Does it? So yeah, limited access, I think it's.
Not supposed to, but it does.
It does. Yeah, you should go through your assistant city.
People
manager.
laugh about it. It's not supposed to happen that way.
Right, you should always go to assistant city manager.
Just check with Jonathan or and it's not that we don't want you to talk to them, but
Sure.
we need to be able to arrange for what, then we need to be able to make sure that they are actually keeping us in the loop. So if somebody's going and talking to them and they don't come back and tell us, then we don't know what's going on. So I don't mind anybody talking to anybody. I just want it to kind of flow through the correct way.
So with that, what we
So
can
that'll
provide,
increase efficiency of work for them, right?
we have very efficient staff. I'm
Yeah,
not
I
worried
know
about
we
that.
Then you just say, meet me at the fitness center.
That's right. So what we can do is, anyone interested in the fitness center, please contact us. We'll get you set up. It can be set up a couple of different ways for access. And then if you would like a badge, to be able to access those areas, we've actually got your headshots, so we can get your badges printed, and then we'll have them available, here at the building the next time that you're here.
And try not to lose them though, because they're not. Well, they cost what, $5, $6, $7 or something like that?
Yeah, they're
Time. and
They're
effort, so.
secure, they're also encrypted as well, so they're not just a normal access control badge. A little pricey.
Councilman Drake has a question for you, but we'll talk about it in executive session.
So is,
If it were under.
so is the county already moved over?
Yes, sir. So the county, the tax office is operational. They moved in and all in one day and we're operational the next day. So we are having a little bit, I will let you know this. So we are having an issue with signage, exterior signage and directional signage in the parking lot. And so last week I met with our sign vendor. We've got a long punch list to go through with them as well. And then I've also asked them to provide me an alternative quote for some additional exterior signs and some additional building signage and different things to get people all the way down to that end of the building, because it is a little bit confusing when you pull in, you see the big entrances in the front, and then the door on the end kind of gets lost a little bit. So even though we've got parking and we've got ADA accessibility and everything down there, it's set up great. It just needs to, we need to be able to route people that way. And so, working with the architect, we've come up with some different ideas. And so I'm waiting pricing on those on.
I'd also say that, talk with, Public Works and with engineering, that intersection there at Live Oak and Waller and whatever you call this driveway coming out of the building is just weird. So we're looking at some things potentially that we can do short term, but also long term to try to square that up and make, because you come through and who knows who's stopping. That's been a problem. So we're working on that one too.
Probably no one was in this building.
Yeah.
That's definitely needs to be addressed.
Problem when there are kids going.
That's
in
true.
there. And so has court held over there?
So they haven't actually had a jury trial. We don't have very many jury trials, but they have had a docket there, and they're virtual dockets right now.
Well, I noticed that there was no.
Correct.
Or jury trial.
Correct. We have 6 jurors on a jury, and so the way that the architect designed it, the box would be the cutout there. If you're looking at the bench, it's on the right side of the bench. There's a cutout that, and then there's a door right there that goes into the jury deliberation room. And so if we did have a jury trial, we would set up the box there.
And chamber, been down there?
Yes, sir.
And
Chamber.
they can't come in that backside either, correct?
Correct. Again, it's all secure access. And so our municipal court staff is the only staff members on that end of the building that are actual city employees. And so they have access into our main building areas, hallways. But the other entities, the partner agencies, do not have access back there.
So since they're kind of isolated over there, they all carry guns. Anyway, my point is, do we have a video over there to watch them to be able to make sure that they're okay?
Yes, sir.
With the rest of the group?
Yes, sir. The building we have exterior and interior cameras in the building, as well as alarm monitoring as well.
That's it. Yeah, and again, it's beautiful.
It really is.
And hopefully, so we're gonna wait until we get everything done before we have our open house?
Well, yes, sir. We're waiting on a few things. And so we're planning to come back to you with dates for a building dedication. And then an open house where we invite the public and open up the hallways that are usually secure. Let people walk through. We'll have staff service tour guides for that and show off.
Anyone dissatisfied with their space?
Speak now,
We-
it's the only option.
Yeah, and we'll have your resignation there shortly.
Back the old.
That's right, we can,
Yeah.
janitors. Anyway, but no, we hope, it's probably, I know architects do that, but sometimes you wish you had tables in certain areas that, please speak up, because now's the time if you need, oh, I'm sorry, don't bring that up.
We're working through some issues. Budget is very, very tight. So we're still working through budget issues with the building itself right now. And so, but we have been able to address several concerns that have come up.
I would imagine now's the time to get a list, even if it's not. Because this is the time when you have to focus. Do it real quick. Probably need to start gathering, even if your budget can't do it right now. Something we live with.
I think we'll end up with a fairly decent wish list, and then also a list of capital type requests that we may have for the budget consideration. One of the things that's starting to become a somewhat weekly problem is mechanical, so HVAC. So, it's something that we probably I was thinking over the weekend, we may even want to put in a replacement, fund. Because, there's approximately 60 units on the building. So, we may want to, consider next year's budgets, starting to create and seed that fund. And so that maybe, as they come up or once a year that we can actually replace units.
Even the core is looking good in the sense of having that waiting area outside of, office is called.
Yeah, and we're actually, still working through some furniture items. We haven't used our full, allotment of budget for furniture items, so we're still looking for some different pieces. Chairs are the main issue. So, for example, next meeting, you'll probably council meeting, but, we're working through those details.
What about the monitors? They seem kind of small if someone is sitting on that back row to see the presentation of staff. Y'all be all, or do you think we should go bigger, or what's your?
We can go larger. We have larger ones in a couple of the rooms. This was the size we were asked to order, so.
Now, if it works, it works. I was just thinking if I was sitting on the back row trying to,
You may not be able to read the fan print on the back,
but they can see like.
but you can
that.
see the mount.
Okay, that was my ultimate concern.
Maybe consider a side one or something. I mean,
Works, it works, but I
Maybe.
was just.
Maybe wish list things.
yeah.
So little feedback comment was sound good and the picture. For everybody except for engineer when he was sitting.
We've
Now I
addressed
got a
that.
mic, So,
Yeah.
Internal media.
you know, and maybe in the future, we could get a podium that's a little bit taller with our ADA. podium.
We've got some ideas on the. I tweak that a little bit.
We have to have this,
ADA
But it-
compliant,
but
council.
it doesn't mean that we can't have a second piece this fall.
Well, thank you very much. Your hair's a little bit grayer and a little bit thinner and certain, oh, that's the haircut. But thank you for, leading our city through this aspect. I know that was a big weight on your shoulder and a lot of sleepless nights, and we appreciate your hard work and thank you, for, crunching everything out and it's a beautiful building. And like I said, I hope that we can actually, submit it for some presentations of some fashion of what, when school districts work with the cities, taking a obsolete building that's never going to be used as a school again and being able to work out a deal, figuring it out, getting it into the city, turning it into something where we all can kind of be together and not be hodgepodged across the city limits. Anyway, but yeah.
Great job, great job.
Thank you.
Great job.
All right, so I know we are having the closed session and the time is 9:38. And we are expected to come back into or go into closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code, section 551.071, 551.087, 551.072. May or may not be taking action there afterwards. All right, good.
One might just grab from Karen, but she's not. Thank you, staff. Appreciate it.
Yes, thank y'all.
How are you related to? It's your brother, so he's married to Tara Capella, and Tara's brother Mason and my buddy. And Chad.
That way, I wouldn't guess.
Coach.
Did they connect?
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
I saw you on pictures. It's like, wait a minute. Okay, Summers, how are they related? Oh my gosh, yeah.
So if you want more idea.
Oh my God. They're precious, yeah.
Got on spot, we would know where to go.
I parked out back because when I dropped off. All are on your own.
You have control of the.
Place an arm desk.
Them get in the truck first.
This time I did.
Good. All right. So the time is
Hang on a sec.
10:16 and we will reconvene back into open session. Was there any actions that needed to be?
No actions needed, Mayor, on any of the posted agenda items.
Excellent. So at 10:17, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move. Second.
Break and Smith. Favor?
Break eye. But I. Smith eye.
Thank you and good night from our beautiful.
Yes, thank you, gentlemen. Y'all have a wonderful evening.
Night, everyone.
Ordinance is that one.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's legal.
Here's the executive.